Hey, don't you just hate those loud, obnoxious, rude people who will just won't listen no matter what, and they just used to get in the way? I mean, these people just drive me up the wall, right? Because they just won't listen, no matter what you tell them. And it's hard, right? It's hard when you're reasonable and you're used to just having a conversation. You're used to, finding middle ground because you're a rational person. And it's so hard when you just come up against people who are not like that, whether this is in your work, whether this is in your personal life. Like, it's inevitable, right? We run into those people. So I guess we gotta find ways of dealing with them in a way that won't like leave you just frustrated and angry and just sad, right? Because that's what happens. And instead just find a way of kind of just getting through it so it doesn't, stop you from doing what you need to do, but it also doesn't compromise on your values and the way that you are as a person. And I think it's crucial to really understand like what drives those people, right? Because we know, right? We know from experience that you can't change them, right? You cannot reason with them. You cannot change them. We can't change people full stop, right? Unfortunately, although I wish that was the case, right? Like, I wish that we could change people, but we cannot. So we have to find a way of really dealing with those people in a way that really kind of serves us, but it also serves them. Because I truly believe that people don't do it out of being, malicious or, or evil, right? A lot of people they haven't been taught to be respectful, to give other people a chance, and they've just been conditioned to live this way. And we gotta kind of show them that there is, that this isn't the right way, at least with us, right? We can't change how they behave in, with the rest of the world, but at least it doesn't work with us. So I'll tell you, this is the one thing that those people, those pushy, rude, and unreasonable people, the one thing that they're not used to, and that is people who have boundaries. People who have boundaries, who will not crumble and get, and do what they want to do. People who will not get upset, or at least visibly upset and emotional around them. Because at the end of the day, when you get emotional, when you get frustrated, well, first of all, it never works. And the second thing is, they'll just use it against you. Right? Because this is one of the tools that those people have, right? They get you kind of unsettled, and that's how they're able to get away with their own agenda, or that's how they can get away with just putting you in a position where something happens that you don't want to happen, or where you end up feeling upset in some way. So we want to be able to draw a line and show them that that's not going to be the case. And oftentimes in conversation with those people, right, it's always about them trying to get something to happen, and they will keep pushing you, and they will keep prodding you, and they will keep on just coming up with these kind of really manipulative things to get their way. And no matter what you say, no matter how you reason, they'll just keep going. They'll just keep finding ways to kind of throw you off and get you unsettled. And that's really the best way to deal with them, the best way to establish those boundaries with them, and is to really stand your ground, even if it's hard, right? It's hard because it gets a while to get used to. But what I found is incredibly empowering, with those people, and it kind of holds them off in a big, powerful way, is if you find your own position. Whether this is they're trying to argue a point, they're trying to prove something to you, they're trying to get you to change your opinion, or get you to do something that you don't want to do. It's important for you to find first of all, what is your ground, right? Like, what is it, the point that you personally believe in? Like, what is something that, you won't do? Or what is the alternative course of action that you actually believe is right and stand by it? And what it's going to come back to is in a conversation with this person, is when they're saying something to you, whether they are trying to convince you of something, or whether they're trying to push you into a certain direction. We're going to do two things. One is we're going to acknowledge it, right? We're going to acknowledge whatever they are saying. We're not going to argue with them. We're not going to try to invalidate it, right? Because they will drag you in and it never works, right? We'll just try to acknowledge what they're saying and then just explain what needs to happen, right? So this could be saying like, listen, I know what you mean, but here is why I don't agree with it. And here is what I believe should happen from now on. Now, of course, they will never, as you know, those people, they'll never listen. They'll never agree with you. They'll just keep on pushing and finding another way and trying to convince you and trying to throw you off. But this is where you keep on repeating the same thing over and over and over while trying to remind yourself to keep calm, because that is what is going to infuriate them. This is what they're not used to. They're used to people, A, doing what they want to do, and B, people get thrown off and get emotional and get worked up and get angry. Now, I know sometimes that's what you feel like you're boiling up from the inside. But if you're sitting there and you keep on finding just different ways of acknowledge what they're saying and ultimately just explaining what needs to happen from your point of view and why. So this could be like, if they're trying to push and say, well, this is what I want to do, and this is why it's right, and this is how it needs to happen. You can say, I understand. I totally get your perspective. I totally understand what you mean, but it doesn't sit right with me. I think this is an alternative way that we can think about this. I understand where you're coming from, but this really isn't going to work out for me. Can we try doing it this way? And just keep on stand your ground, be as calm as you possibly can, at least, visually, right, to someone else, and just keep on repeating the same thing over and over again. Now, you might think, I know it's hard, it seems hard at the start, is that they'll just keep on doing it forever, but they won't. They will just be confused by it, and they'll be totally thrown off by it because they're not used to it. They're used to throwing people off course so that they can get their message across. They're not used to listening. They're not used to people who have boundaries. And you know what is funny? I'll tell you. It's the look on their face. It is the look on their face when they don't get what they want. That is hilarious. I know. That's just worth this whole effort alone. That just really is worth the admission price alone. It's just to see the look on their face, which is like, oh my goodness, what is going on? Like, I just expect this person to roll over and do whatever I need to do. Like, it's just, I love that so much. And I think you're going to enjoy that. But listen, we're doing that not to really prove a point. We're not really doing that, to kind of make someone else feel miserable. We're just doing it what is in line with your values. And I think that's the crucial point with these people. We're not trying to change them. We're not trying to just, do ultimately something that is kind of the right thing to do. We're trying to stand by our values, stand by our ground, and show them that you are a rational person who has boundaries, and that other people can't just walk over you just because they feel like it, because that's just how they're used to getting their way. And I also want to say that it's hard. I know how hard that can be. But when you start to do it, when you can start to really stand up for yourself, because I know that's been a big change for me when I stood up for myself with this one person at work who was like just so loud and unreasonable and obnoxious. And when I stood my ground in a meeting with that person, and I kept bringing them back and bringing them back and bringing them back to this point, and I was calm, at least on the outside, I was polite, I had a smile on that has completely disarmed them, right? That completely has disarmed them, and we found a workaround, something that was a perfectly reasonable compromise. And that is what I want for you. No, yes, we won't have the joy and the satisfaction of not giving into this person and seeing how they kind of just come up short in not getting what they want. But ultimately, it's just standing up for yourself, for what you feel is right, and for your values. I hope this has helped you. I hope this served you in some way, because we do run into those people in life. And I think we just gotta deal with them in a reasonable way. My name is Joe Bakhmotsky. Thank you so much for being here. I'll talk to you soon. See ya.